Today we'll discuss Leibniz rule of differentiation under the integral sign when the limits of integration are functions of the parameter. Now sometimes we also call this formula as Newton-Leibniz integral formula. Now given here is the general form of formula. So what we'll do is first I'll write two simple forms and then we'll come to this general form and we'll also prove this general formula. Now the first form is, suppose we have any integral where limits are constant. We have a function f which has some parameter alpha. So it will be this integral from a to b f x alpha dx. Now once we'll solve this integral, this function will be some function of alpha, say capital F alpha. Now if we have to differentiate this function, we can write f dash alpha as this integral from a to b and then partial derivative of this function with respect to alpha. So it will be del f upon del alpha into dx. So this is the first form of Newton-Leibniz formula when the limits are constant but this function, it has some parameter alpha. Now second form of Newton-Leibniz formula is when the limits are variable. Say for example, we have these limits as g alpha and h alpha, but this function inside the integral doesn't have this parameter alpha. Now again, if we'll solve this function, we'll get it as some function of alpha, say f alpha. Now if we differentiate this function, we can write this as f dash alpha and L be equal to, now in place of x, what we'll do is we'll write this upper limit. So it'll be f h alpha into derivative of upper limit. So it'll be h dash alpha and then minus, now we'll put lower limit. So it'll be f g alpha into g dash alpha. So that is the second form of Newton-Leibniz formula. So we have this first form when the limits are constant but this function has a parameter alpha, and then we have the second form when limits have the parameter alpha but this function, it doesn't have alpha. Now we combine these two results, then we get this general form when this function also has this parameter alpha and where limits are also some functions of alpha. Now if we differentiate this function, we'll get this first form which is limits are same and then we have this partial derivative of this function with respect to alpha dx and then plus this form. Substitute x with upper limit into h dash alpha minus f g alpha into g dash alpha. So this is the general form of Leibniz rule of differentiation under the integral sign when the limits of integration are functions of the parameter. Now we'll prove this result. Now what we'll do is we'll take this integral as some function, say capital F. We'll say let capital F alpha be this integral from g alpha to h alpha f x alpha dx. Now we'll write f alpha plus delta alpha. So we have taken a small increment in alpha. We can write this as integral g alpha plus delta alpha to h alpha plus delta alpha and then f x comma alpha plus delta alpha into dx. Now what we'll do is we'll separate this integral in three parts. So we are going to write this as this integral from g alpha plus delta alpha to g alpha f x comma alpha plus delta alpha dx plus, now we'll take this integral from g alpha to h alpha f x comma alpha plus delta alpha dx and then plus this integral from h alpha to h alpha plus delta alpha f x comma alpha plus delta alpha into dx. Now what we'll do is we'll subtract f alpha from f alpha plus delta alpha. So we can write this as f alpha plus delta alpha minus f alpha. It will be equal to this integral g alpha plus delta alpha to g alpha, and then f x comma alpha plus delta alpha dx plus, I write this one first. So we'll write this as this integral from h alpha to h alpha plus delta alpha f x comma alpha plus delta alpha dx, and then we have this third integral which is from g alpha to h alpha f x comma alpha plus delta alpha dx, and then minus this f alpha, which is this integral from g alpha to h alpha f x alpha into dx. Now what we'll do is we'll combine these two integrals and we'll also divide everything with delta alpha. So we can write this as f alpha plus delta alpha minus f alpha, and it'll be equal to, now what I'll do is I'll write this one first. I'll write this as h alpha to h alpha plus delta alpha f x comma alpha plus delta alpha dx, and then for this integral I'll interchange a and b. So I'll write minus g alpha to g alpha plus delta alpha f x comma alpha plus delta alpha dx, and then plus this integral from g alpha to h alpha, and then f x alpha plus delta alpha minus f x alpha into dx, and we'll divide everything with delta alpha. Now what I'll also do is I'll take this limit delta alpha tends to 0. Now when limit delta alpha tends to 0, then this expression is nothing but this is f dash alpha, that is the derivative of this integral function. Now if we look at this third integral, then this limit alpha tends to 0 f x comma alpha plus delta alpha minus f x alpha upon delta alpha dx, this is nothing but partial derivative of f with respect to alpha. So now we can write this as f dash alpha, and it'll be equal to, I'll write this one first. So this is nothing but this is partial derivative of f with respect to alpha. So it'll be this integral from g alpha to h alpha del f upon del alpha into dx, and then plus this limit delta alpha tends to 0 1 upon delta alpha, this integral h alpha to h alpha plus delta alpha f x alpha plus delta alpha dx, and then minus this limit delta alpha tends to 0 1 upon delta alpha from g alpha to g alpha plus delta alpha, and then f x comma alpha plus delta alpha into dx. So we have one part of the result, but we need to prove these other two parts. Now to simplify these two integrals, what we'll do is we'll use mean value theorem for the integrals. So if we look at this integral, then we can write mean value of this integral from h alpha to h alpha plus delta alpha f x alpha plus delta alpha dx upon b minus a, which in this case is h alpha plus delta alpha minus h alpha, and it'll be equal to f and then some zeta alpha plus delta alpha, where zeta 1 it lies between h alpha and h alpha plus delta alpha. So we can write this integral as this integral h alpha to h alpha plus delta alpha f x alpha plus delta alpha dx, and it'll be equal to f zeta 1 alpha plus delta alpha into h alpha plus delta alpha minus h alpha. Now we also have this 1 upon delta alpha. So we'll multiply it with 1 upon delta alpha, and then we'll take this limit delta alpha tends to 0. So it'll be this limit delta alpha tends to 0. Now when this limit delta alpha tends to 0, this is nothing but this is derivative of h with respect to alpha. So it will be nothing but h dash alpha. Now what about this function? This function will be f zeta 1 and then comma alpha. Now what about zeta 1? Now we know that zeta 1, it lies between h alpha and h alpha plus delta alpha. Now when delta alpha tends to 0, then this zeta 1, it approaches h alpha. So here in this case, this zeta 1 will be simply h alpha. So we can write this as f h alpha comma alpha into h dash alpha. And in the same way, for this second part, we can write limit delta alpha tends to 0, 1 upon delta alpha, this g alpha to g alpha plus delta alpha, f x comma alpha plus delta alpha dx, it will be equal to f g alpha comma alpha into g dash alpha, again using mean value theorem for integrals. So now we'll substitute these two results in the formula. So now we can write f dash alpha as this integral from g alpha to h alpha and then del f by del alpha dx, and then plus here will be f h alpha comma alpha into h dash alpha minus f g alpha comma alpha into g dash alpha, which is the result that we need to prove. So this is how we prove Newton-Leibniz formula for general case.